You mean I didn't make a noise, so it should be fine.
I know. That's why I was just like,
It's not like when you
don't
edit
do it.
audio, you visually see.
I know.
Things.
I was just saying, it looked like you were about to clap, so I was just like, don't
It's like
do
you,
it.
I guess you see waveforms. Welcome to Was It Good, the podcast that reviews movies and TV shows. Today we're looking at Star Wars Tales of the Jedi and Season 3 of Star Trek Lower Decks. I'm Ravi, and as always, I'm joined by my two brothers.
Arjuna wearing Tom Nook.
And Krishna as Heisenberg. Let's cook.
And I guess I'm Ravi wearing Ted Lasso's skin.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're wearing
are the
Tom Nook's
skin.
skin.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize we were doing a whole, like, you know, when they do a red carpet, it's like, oh, who are you wearing?
Yep.
I didn't
Oh,
realize we
We
were
did
doing
that
a
off
red
the
carpet.
cuff. I was like, it'd be funny.
I mean, it threw me for a loop.
We're wearing costumes because we were taping this on Halloween.
And what is it?
Happy Halloween to all
Yes,
of our
happy-
listeners and our viewers.
Don't get too many cavities tonight.
Or get all of them.
Yeah, PSA right there.
Can cavities happen from just, like, one single day of over excessive eating of candy?
Sure. Why not?
I don't think that's
Anything
how
is
I have
possible.
no idea.
How-
I'm a
Probably
dentist expert.
I mean, you kind of look like a dentist in your costume,
Yeah,
so
I'm a dentist on vacation.
yeah.
He
I
looks
mean,
like a dental assistant.
it's the white shirt because it's like, you know. Why do they wear white in hospitals?
They don't.
Because it's clean.
Not always.
Well, like the doctors, like their white coats are, yeah, they're like white coats.
It's so you can see the blood more easily.
Yeah, the blood, the pee.
I think
the
because it
vomit.
gives a sense that everything is sterile and like clean.
It's psychotic.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's probably also because there's no color on it, so it's just the cheapest.
Oh, that feels like that makes more sense, maybe?
I mean, a lot of things are just practical reasons, right?
yeah.
Like, why are we practically doing this podcast?
That's the question that I think we've been asking for a long time. Anyway, what do you guys want to start with first? Star Wars or Star Trek? I think we start with the far superior sci-fi.
Stargate.
Exactly. We don't talk about Stargate enough on this show.
We don't. We
but-
should force Christian to watch all 10 seasons of SG-1.
And
Now.
then all 6 seasons of
5 of Atlantis, 1 of Universe. 2 of Universe?
two of
2 of
Universe.
Universe. Yeah.
And then all the side movies as well.
Oh, yeah. It was only 2.
I mean, still 2.
2 too many.
Too many, yeah. There is so much Stargate content. It is kind of crazy.
I mean, it's like 200 episodes of SG-1,
Mhm.
100 episodes of Atlantis.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot of content right there.
Content with a capital C.
But we're going to start with Star Wars Tales of the Jedi.
Okay,
Animated
let's do it.
shorts. Animated shorts that I always like to start with the social commentary on things, because when it comes to like Star Wars fans, it's always just a fun who's gonna complain about what in what order. And before the show even aired, obviously screeners and things were put out. And the other thing that came out early on was the runtime of each episode. Now, this has always been marketed as shorts, short form content. When people saw that some of the shorts were like, 12, 15 minutes, people were losing their freaking minds, being like, this isn't enough content for Star Wars shorts.
These shorts are too short.
Yeah. And the other thing too was like, this was all released same day.
Right.
It wasn't like a week to week. You didn't have to wait. You could sit there and binge it in an hour and a half or whatnot.
Yeah, it was like a movie. Why, I don't know why anyone would complain. You could literally watch all the shorts, and now you have a Star Wars movie. It's like, what? Anyways.
I think some of the best things Disney Plus have done are their shorts.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Tales of the Jedi, you have Star Wars Visions,
Mm-hmm.
you have Doug Days, which is Doug from Up. You have the Baymax ones.
I'm sorry, back up. I didn't know there was an Up short.
Yeah, there was Doug and hanging
Yeah.
out with Carl, Ed Asner's character, who sadly passed away like right before or after these shorts came out,
Mhm.
but he recorded them, and those are really fun. And then there's ones with Baymax from Big Hero 6.
I did see the Baymax ones. They were
Yeah.
actually pretty fun.
And then there's the I Am Groot ones. as
the I Am
well.
Groot ones are interesting.
Those are fun. Like
Yeah.
they're the thing with short form content is they're just kind of like these nice little snippets, right?
Mhm.
You don't have to like sit down and hunker down for like an hour or 2 hours or 30 minutes. It's like literally just like throw it on, and if it's good, great, and if it's not,
Move on
you
with
wasted
your life.
5 minutes of your life.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
move
You know?
on easily.
I enjoy that it's like one plot, so you don't have to worry about subplots or character development, right? So I imagine Ravi was a huge fan of these because it was just to the point.
Yeah.
Like, here's a situation. Here's how they solve the situation. The end.
I thought it was interesting because I didn't really know what to expect from the show. I thought, I guess, each episode would be a different Jedi. I didn't realize it would just be Ahsoka and Dooku
Oh, really?
as the main characters. I know that information came out. I just didn't.
Put
I didn't absorb the information.
Gotcha. So, as they say, one in one ear, out the other ear.
Yeah, it was more like in one ear, and then it just stayed there and never left.
But then that means you would
In the ear canal, like it didn't go through my brain.
so it didn't go into the brain.
ear
Yes, because that's how that works.
Yep. Science.
Nope.
Speaking of science,
Hey, once you get Twitter verified, you can start spewing that crap, and people will think it's legit. So you know what? Yeah, fuck it. June's a scientist. It just cost him $20 a month.
It becomes legit when he tweets it with a check mark.
Exactly.
It becomes fact.
I am scientist.
I mean, hey, the wasn't good Twitter handle is gonna be verified next week, guys, and that means everything we put there is legitimate.
Everything
Be
is
false.
factual.
Whatever
Including
we say
that
is
statement.
good is fact.
Factual.
Nice.
Real quick, I think it was 6 episodes, right? 3 and 3, 3 for Ahsoka, 3 for Dooku.
Interesting order though. It went like first episode was Ahsoka, then 3 episodes of Dooku, and then
Ahsoka,
2 more of Ahsoka.
Right. I was gonna bring up that that didn't work for me. I think it would have been better if you just did the 3 and the 3.
Agreed. I think they went chronological. Is what it seemed like.
Yeah,
did.
that I guess that makes sense. Yeah. But like that first episode was definitely the weakest, I think, of the 3.
Yeah.
Mostly because it felt kind of out of place because the other 5 episodes, it's very much established Jedi Order, Jedi things, Jedi characters and things that you're aware of. While the first episode obviously is kind of a prequel, if you will, to Ahsoka becoming a Jedi.
I thought it was interesting though because it shows the power Ahsoka has even as a baby, right?
Yeah.
That she can control this wild beast. It shows you a little bit of her life. Obviously, her very early days before she joined the Jedi Order, she came from like a very loving family, a very protective mother. So I thought all of it was interesting. I don't think it was like the best execution. Like maybe there was a little bit a different story path they kind of could have navigated for the episode, but I thought the actual tangible facts that were presented in that episode were very interesting. And I think when you look at Ahsoka's entire arc of here she is as like a really raw Jedi, the second episode is her becoming a really powerful Jedi, right? With a lot of the training you see. And look, we've had a lot of time with Ahsoka and Anakin in that Clone Wars time frame, right? So I thought it was interesting they went back to that specific time frame and were like, here is another snippet that you didn't get in 7 seasons of Clone Wars, right? Of the extra training that Anakin gave her that made her as skilled as she did, right? Because I think there even is a point in Clone Wars where you're just kind of like, wow, she kind of like leveled up. There's just like how good she is.
Yeah, I mean,
as a
literally,
Jedi, right?
I think it's like literally season 3 to 4 of Clone Wars. And she also goes through like an outfit change and everything. And so, yeah.
It's just nice to add that context and even show a little bit more of that relationship with Rex.
Such a badass ending too to that episode. Like it's all leading up to that. Remember that final
arc in
fight,
7.
Yep. So her walking out, it's like, oh, all this training
paid off,
puts to good use.
And then the last episode, which is probably the strongest of the Ahsoka episodes, is the connector, right? The one that really connects her between her journeys between Clone Wars and Rebels, where you kind of see her, it seems for a little bit just kind of just live, like be a farmer, kind of hiding.
The Jedi way,
just kind of like, I'm gonna be a farmer.
What is real quick? What, like, you remember Arjuna said a while ago? Why is it all the lightsabers end up on Tatooine? Why is it all of the Jedi end up as farmers? Like,
They have no other practical
There are
skills.
other careers. Like they could be office workers.
No, you want farming. I would assume there's not a whole lot of paper trail. So you want to stay as low profile as possible.
Right.
It seems like in this galaxy, farming's the way to go.
It
Office
also-
worker, you have employment papers. You know, the galaxy's going to latch, or the Empire's going to latch on.
I think also
like-
because they're Jedi, and the Jedi way, right, is to is like
Peaceful.
is peaceful and giving back, and like farming is like the easiest
Nurturing.
way to like nurture and give back, especially like
Arjuna.
this time of war. And
Arjuna,
whatnot.
the corporations are people too.
Okay, Mitt Romney.
They are also giving back, you know,
Corporations are
in
people,
some
my
way.
friends.
I don't know. I mean, they could. Okay, well, what they could have been. You know, they could have been doing like guest services at some kind of resort. We know based on Andor that there are vacation spots.
Yeah.
They could have been working.
And you
at,
get
like,
arrested.
Spoiler
for
alert.
Real quick, that's probably the best thing so far about Andor is the fact that it's shown us that there are vacation spots, but you can easily go to jail for like 10 years for doing nothing. I'm a
Love it.
tourist.
I'm a tourist. You littered. 6 years in prison.
What the fuck?
You're like 6 days? No, 6 years.
Fuck.
I will say that first episode of the Ahsoka arc, it felt to me after watching it, this is setting up the Ahsoka show. So you're right, because it did feel very out of place with the rest of the 5 episodes for Tales of the Jedi. But it feels like that might come back around in the Ahsoka show, or at least give you some insight to things that might be coming.
No. I'm
Potentially.
sorry. Star Wars has proven to us via Boba Fett they don't handle flashbacks very well. No flashbacks.
That's why
in
they
the
got it
live
over
actions,
with in
please.
Tales of the Jedi.
I mean,
so
technically,
we don't have to do it again.
Don't say everything is a flashback.
everything is
Oh,
flashback.
God.
Depending on your point of view.
Depending on how you view time.
Yeah, everything is a flash. This is a flashback right now.
Oh, fuck off.
Time is a pie. You just eat it.
I would say this last thing on the first episode for the show with Ahsoka. I got a lot of Samurai Jack vibes
Yes.
through that episode because there was very little dialogue, a lot of action, a lot of beautiful shots, etc. So
Can we talk
was
about
cool.
her dad and how he was just like, oh, yeah, okay, wife who just gave birth and little child, you go hunt. I'll stay here.
It had been a year. It had
I'll
been a
do
year.
nothing.
I mean, but
He was preparing the house.
Yeah, he was building it.
Clearly
fixing a
different
roof or something,
roles.
Yeah,
So it was just hilarious.
I think it's good. I mean, I
He
like.
could have offered to like watch
I-
Ahsoka, anything. But,
Well,
like,
no, but that's
nah,
the whole
you do
point of
it.
their culture is to take the young out hunting at an early age. Even though the
It's
father,
a little
remember,
too early.
but remember the father had said like we don't really do that anymore. But the mother, I guess,
Was holding to tradition.
holds to
Yeah.
tradition or whatnot.
Well,
so.
clearly has no power. It is weak.
Oh my god.
Is that toxic
Is that a
masculinity?
Yeah, I was
Is
gonna say,
that a
Arjuna
problem?
out, like, I mean, I don't even touch on that. Let's just move on. Let's get into probably the most interesting Jedi of all time,
Qui-Gon Jinn,
Dooku.
Mace Windu, Yaddle.
No, I will say this: when first introduced to Dooku at a young age, when we saw Episode 2, Dooku played by Christopher Lee, very menacing, very scary, really, really well done. And then in the Clone Wars, they kind of made him a goofball in the early seasons, and then he got more sinister. This show, I think, did a really, really good job of showing, obviously, why does Dooku do what Dooku does, which is, it's been 20 years since Clone Wars, the movie, came out. So we've had Dooku for 20 years, and finally we kind of get a really good understanding of who he is and why he did what he did. And it's very similar, I think, to what we saw in Anakin, where it's the Jedi are so full of themselves, the Republic is so full of itself. They don't really help the people, and they, Dooku obviously truly believes in the cause of Papa Palpatine.
Does he though?
I think he sees it as a way to get what he wants.
Right.
And in true, Sith fashion, if it all played out properly, or in true fashion, Dooku would have eventually killed Palpatine.
Yeah, because
Right.
you see, especially in Episode 5, before Yaddle shows up, when they're confronting each other, there's a large level of distrust between the two, right? Like, Palpatine's, like, pretty rude to him and just like, you suck, essentially. And he's just like, this is what I agreed to. And then he's like, prove to me and kill her,
Twice.
Which is good. Like, I think that, right, twice. Which is good because I think it shows some of Palpatine, right, in terms of Maul was kind of his guy. And
What was
then
his weapon?
Maul was his weapon.
Yeah.
Dooku was like his placeholder, and Anakin was his end game.
Well, actually, I would also say that Dooku, though, was also his inside man, right? We finally got to see why Kamino doesn't show up in the records.
He deleted it.
He deleted it.
Yeah.
Which, that was a really nice little, nugget. And then the other thing I think that made, I think it was episode 4, right? The last episode with Dooku, episode 4.
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
Oh, 4, you're right.
Yeah,
I
4,
don't know why I said
5. Of Tales of the Jedi, we actually kind of see, we see the last time Dooku talks to Qui-Gon. We see Qui-Gon's last time in the temple just before he leaves. And then we also see the behind the scenes of, when Qui-Gon is dead and, Dooku mourning. That was Dooku, Qui-Gon falling and dying was the final straw for Dooku to be like, fuck this.
Which is Palpatine's manipulations
Yeah.
in a lot of way, right?
Yep.
And it's interesting. Dooku would know that. Dooku would know Maul was his guy, and there was that fight and everything. So it is interesting to me that saddened him and didn't turn him against Palpatine in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe it's just like, Maul went rogue and, killed this guy, and, he was dead.
But remember, Dooku had said to the council, there's a bigger evil. And he had been saying there's something going on even before he knew of Palpatine.
Sure.
And he also, remember, when he was talking to Qui-Gon, he was saying to him, I believe in what you're doing, even though the Jedi Council is kind of against you with everything.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Dooku looked, even though, let's say Dooku obviously knows about Maul and knows that Maul is Palpatine's guy, Dooku still, it's very clear, Dooku still blames the Council for Qui-Gon's death.
Right.
Because, he believes that they just didn't follow through in terms of, believing in whatever.
I think it's fascinating, too, in Episode 3, we get the Mace stuff, the Mace Windu, Dooku stuff. There's, a bit of there's a rivalry there. Obviously, Mace is the one that gets the Jedi Council seat over Dooku, and, that's another thing that kind of leads him to be disillusioned with everything that's going on.
And Mace is the ultimate Jedi Council stan as well. Follows the rules to a T. I thought that was interesting as well. Makes sense, but I didn't realize it would be so pronounced.
It's fascinating with his arc, too, because he, does he necessarily die in 3?
Oh, God.
If Anakin's like, let's take him back to the council, and he has to follow justice, and Mace is like, no, we're gonna kill him here now.
Right,
Remember?
which is very
which is different from
Jedi-like.
where he where he is from here in Tales, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
So it's another interesting kind of data point to track of some of these characters and whatnot, and how the war disillusioned a lot of these Jedis. And you just, to me, it's fascinating where you could just see all the errors, right? Of this is where everything kind of just fell apart. All of these different, there's not one thing that leads to the fall of the Jedi, right? You can obviously track the Palpatine and what he did, but there's all the failings within the Jedi Council with the decisions Yoda made and Mace Windu made and all these different Yaddle, right?
Yaddle.
If Yaddle was that's probably a big thing for us to talk about with Yaddle and her ultimate demise in 4. She figured it out before any of these idiots did.
Yeah.
So
and
long ago.
resigned.
Yeah, and she
stepped
resigned.
down.
She resigned from the council. She saw some of the errors of the way, and then she died.
Yeah.
And before she could warn anybody of what's to come.
And now Grogu has no mom.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how long after giving birth do we think that is when she resigns?
She's
Well,
not the
we
mom.
know
Wait,
that
is she
she-
Grogu's mom?
No, everyone thinks she is.
I had a
No,
question.
there's nothing confirmed.
Was Darth Maul known to Dooku for sure?
I would assume.
Yeah.
But Sith, there's always a isn't it weird that he had so many apprentices?
Well, that's
They
because
weren't at the
Palpatine-
same time.
It's because
necessarily.
Palpatine's a slut.
Yeah.
Basically.
Palpatine-
he has
Palpatine sort of went
contingencies on
against-
contingencies.
Is that why he
Yeah.
lost in the end? He didn't stick to the Sith way?
Maybe.
No, I mean the Sith way is that you get murdered by your apprentice eventually, and Sidious clearly had no plans. He was playing with immortality and cloning, right?
Yeah.
He had
didn't
no
want to
plan.
die.
He was sort of like a trailblazer for the Sith, really.
Well, what was
Yeah,
his,
but then he lost.
Well, I guess maybe you guys know.
He
this.
was a
what
trailblazer.
What was his end plan? What was his end plan with Anakin? Right, obviously it got messed up when Anakin gets mutilated in Mustafar. But what was his plan with the
I think
Jedi Jesus?
I think Anakin was his new Maul, like a bigger, better weapon for him to wield, like his hammer to control the galaxy. And we know that's true because he was willing to replace him with Luke.
Yeah.
Right? Like he was like, oh, strike down your father. You're going to become my new hammer. So he was like, I'm going to be immortal. I'm going to find the strongest Jedi, corrupt them. They'll be my new hammer until I find a new one or they get too old.
Didn't he even try to kill Darth Vader?
Who, Palpatine?
Yeah, at the end of
and
Return of the Jedi.
No. He was
I thought Luke
electrocuting Luke. And then Vader's just like watching it, and then Vader pushes Palpatine down.
Well, no, he lifts him and then throws him, and then he does a terrible job of killing him because he's not dead. Spoilers for 7, 8, and 9.
And then in 7, 8, 9,
What?
he's like, actually, I'm going to use your body. Right? To Rey?
Yeah, well, he wants to use her essence or whatever to heal his.
God, who knows?
I don't know. That movie was stupid.
The Force dyad.
The Force.
The dryad. Yeah,
the movie. The movie's stupid. Nothing will ever change my mind on that.
There is
10 years later, animated series. I love 7, 8, and 9.
I'm
Best of the
shocked. Real quick aside, like I'm shocked that they keep all of this material that's coming out is so heavily focused still on prequel stuff. It's like I think it's time that we get some supplemental material now for the sequel episodes.
Well, I think
that would be nice.
You have to look at the creatives, right? Like Filoni is a prequel guy. Like he came up with Clone Wars. Like he was.
He can adapt. He's a big
instrumental
boy. He can adapt.
with that. Yeah, sure, but he's definitely not there yet. And I think his foray into Star Wars sequelism is Mandalorian, Ahsoka, which is still between episode 6 and 7. They really haven't touched with the whole Star Wars universe. Like anything post 9. I know there's the whole Damon Lindelof stuff where apparently they're working on stuff that's post 9. And he's assembled a writer's room or whatever for that project.
Yeah, a writer's room that's just going to get scrapped. Let's be honest.
I mean, maybe, but who knows? So
That's Lindelof. Who knows?
yeah, who knows? So
Who?
it'll be interesting. I mean, I guess like you think about our ages when we saw the prequel trilogy, right? We were fairly young, right? We were like
Young.
Single digits, teens when those movies came out. So if you think of like the kids who watched the sequel trilogy who were like single digits or teens, maybe there's more content in the next few years, and by the time they hit like our ages, they'll be like, oh yeah, the sequel trilogy, like great with all this supplemental stuff.
They'll be
Stuff,
memeing it.
Yeah, there'll be meaning, and like maybe there's more meaning to Snoke.
No,
But
memeing.
there isn't.
They'll be memeing it like memes.
Oh, memes.
There's memeing to life.
They're
What's the
meaning
memeing of
memes.
life?
The memeing of life.
Yeah, pretty.
Love it.
The blue saber was really cool for Dooku, by the way.
I was gonna say that's
That was
probably the because watching whenever you watch Star Wars, any Star Wars content, you're always like, what is the thing that the Walt Disney Company is going to make and force me to buy? And they did a great job with making Dooku's lightsaber blue because now
Sick.
I need it. I don't need
Yeah.
it, but I want it.
Did you guys think he was a blue guy?
No, I thought it would have been green, but it kind.
No, it makes sense that it's blue.
Yeah.
Because think about it, right? Like, so I could be wrong, but aren't the blue lightsabers? They're more of the muscle of the Jedi. Like they're the more physical. Like they're better with the lightsabers usually. And then green represents being more attuned to the Force. At least at KOTOR, that's what is suggested in KOTOR, but that's not even canon.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
KOTOR is not canon. Or I don't even remember.
It's
now.
not canon.
Yeah,
not
it's not
right.
canon, but I would be shocked if they got rid of all of those ideas.
And then there's
right?
yellow from KOTOR, which was like for Sentinels.
Yeah,
Which is what Rey is.
Right. Because she has the yellow saber in 9.
I thought it was orange. I thought Rey was orange.
Nope,
Or is it
that's
yellow?
Cal.
Yellow, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Cal, if you did the pre-order like I did.
Oh dear.
Oh my.
Speaking of lightsabers, so with the final episode, Ahsoka on the farmland, we see her take on an Inquisitor. A couple of fun, interesting things with the Inquisitor. So the show credits the character as the Inquisitor, but a lot of people are saying that that final episode with Ahsoka is very similar to the 2017 novel Ahsoka, where she is also on a farm where a Inquisitor, the sixth brother, shows up, and she has to fight the brother without a lightsaber uses their lightsaber to kill the Inquisitor, and then she takes the kyber crystals, turns them white, and that's how she gets her white blades that we see in Star Wars Rebels. So it looks like this character is also the sixth brother, which basically means that they've kind of retconned their own novel
So
and comic
that's
books
what
and
it's
everything.
come to.
It's basically what it's come to. Yeah.
I mean, who reads books?
Well, it's also a graphic. The Vader graphic novel is also like a visual show of what the Inquisitor looks like, but this one looks obviously way more menacing.
Maybe they need to get James Gunn to really unite the vision of Star Wars.
No, I think Kathleen Kennedy's doing a great job.
I think
can't see her eyes.
I think
Crickets.
Kathleen, in her own, the piece that she did in May even said herself, she understands the world of Indiana Jones much more than she does Star Wars, and has been looking for a top-level filmmaker who can be like a Feige.
Was Kathleen Kennedy responsible for the 4th Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Crystal Skull, yeah.
Oh.
She's responsible for all the Indiana
Then
Jones.
I asked,
But
do
remember-
you think that she understands Jones better than Wars?
Wait, is she responsible
Yes,
for
I
that
do.
terrible Temple of Doom as well? Then?
I think she's been attached to all the Indiana Jones movies.
My God,
She's
that's
been the lead
horrifying.
producer. But she's attached to a lot. I mean, she's also the lead producer on Science.
Yeah, she's the EP on it.
So,
So she
everyone,
has some
everyone
good
has
ones.
hits and misses.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said mostly misses, but yeah, sure.
I think
No, it
Science
sounds
makes
like she's
up for
batting
it.
500.
Yeah, which
Sounds
is
like
great.
50%.
That's a Hall of Fame career.
That's true, isn't it? Yeah,
In baseball,
stats
yeah.
wise, yeah.
Even in
And
the
basketball.
movie industry, I mean,
Hey,
look, if you get more than 3 chances, you're doing something right.
I mean, what's crazy is like, I was gonna say like Peter Jackson's done really well, and he did really well with Lord of the Rings.
But what else has he done that's
But
well,
then yeah,
done
Kong,
well?
The Frighteners.
The Hobbit.
I've never
oof,
seen that.
All bad.
Yeah.
Real quick though, so as of right now, at the taping of this podcast, there is no confirmation that there is going to be any more Tales of the Jedi. But if there was going to be a season 2 or a new Tales of the Jedi, what would you want to see? What's your bold prediction of what?
Kit
could come?
Fisto.
Oh,
I would love. So I hope they do it, and I hope it's 6 episodes, 3 and 3, and I would love one of those Jedi featured to be Kit Fisto, the green head tentacle who can swim underwater guy. He's really cool. I think he dies though in
3.
Attack of the Clones. 3.
No, in episode
you're
3, yeah,
right.
he's
He
one of
gets
the
struck
first
down
ones.
by
Yeah, he dies
Palpatine
at Palpatine
very
10, right?
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's so cool. He's so cool.
There's a remember the animated or the cartoon Clone
The
Wars?
Samurai Jack
Yeah,
animation.
there is an
Yeah.
episode with Kit Fisto when he leads.
I've actually seen that one.
Yeah, his army underwater and everything. So we kind of gotten like a thing.
A little bit, yeah.
But that's
it'd be
not
cool,
canon.
see him as a baby, like Ahsoka, and him being really powerful. Ooh, and then the other Jedi should be Grogu when he was a youngling in the Jedi Temple. That'd be sweet. So 2 green characters should be Tales of the Jedi Season 2, green.
The green edition.
Green.
The green
The
editions.
greenies.
Yeah, the greens. Speaking of Grogu real quick, I did for some reason thought we would see something. Either he's like in one of the
Yeah.
earlier episodes, like he's in the background or something at the Jedi
Maybe he
Temple.
is.
Maybe he is. Like really.
Look,
because
look,
we
they're
did see,
saving-
because remember
yeah.
we did see Kanan.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
did
in the
episode
Ahsoka
5,
episodes,
yeah,
yeah.
for the Ahsoka episode.
So I was like, oh, maybe we will see a Grogu.
I did the
but-
Leo meme. I was like, I know that guy.
I know
that guy.
I think,
Yeah.
I think Kanan would be. That'd be my bold
Kanan would be
prediction. I
fun.
would like Kanan, and I would like Qui-Gon as
Yeah,
as
Qui-Gon
the
would be
2
sweet.
Jedi. My biggest disappointment of the show, because we're talking about information of what we absorbed. I do remember when they announced the show, they're like, Liam Neeson is returning as Qui-Gon Jinn. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. We're gonna get like a lot of Qui-Gon, right? And they did the young Qui-Gon, who I'm pretty sure was not Liam Neeson, correct?
No, I don't.
That's it. It was his Liam Neeson's son. And then
Whoa.
Liam Neeson actually voiced adult Qui-Gon
Yeah.
in
Right.
episode 4.
Right, and it had 2 lines.
Yes,
And I was
literally
like,
2
wait,
lines.
we had this big announcement that Liam Neeson was returning, and he has 2 lines.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, this is a little annoying.
I
I felt a little
like-
misled.
I like that they keep Qui-Gon as a tease.
Yeah,
I don't know.
same.
It makes him more mysterious and more powerful. The fact that he just appears as a quick Force ghost at the end of Obi-Wan, as 2 lines in episode 4. I thought young Qui-Gon was really interesting.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be
he
right.
gets to watch his mentor be kind of dark side, how that affects him.
Yeah. I would like
But-
I would like to see some stuff of him training like a young Obi. Some stuff
That
of
would be
him
pretty
like
sweet.
joining the Jedi Order. I think there's like it's no longer canon, but there's a novel where he like turns to the dark side briefly, and he has like a romantic interest while he's part of the Jedi Order.
That tracks.
So they could like incorporate some of that stuff into that, and then, who was my other one that I said? Oh, Kanan, right?
Yeah, you said Kanan.
Kanan.
Or
Post pre-blind Kanan
Yeah.
Pre-blind.
and post-blind Kanan.
Oh, you want? Wait, what?
Well, I mean, there's
Excuse
not
me?
much there. We kind
I
of
want
see
to
it.
actually, and then for if they did a third season of Tales of the Jedi, I want it to be all about the Force ghosts hanging out and just like, what do they do?
Well, that's
Like
the
when
thing.
they're not showing
From
up
what
to
I
people.
understand with the Force Ghost, they transcend time, so it's not that they have any free time. They're appearing at all time. So yeah, I don't know. It's
Oh,
weird.
how confusing for them.
Yeah, they're like when you
Wait,
see
what?
when you see Yoda talking to Luke and at the Burning Temple in Episode 8 or whatever. He's also like just before that. He's also talking to Luke when he's younger or whatever, or in Episode 6. So
Well,
they
that's
just
pretty
kind of
dope.
they just move to those. That's how it's been explained to me. Again, I don't think there is a real explanation. I think it's all made up because this is fantasy.
So while they're chilling,
This is a children's show.
It's also a children's show. For my bold prediction, I'm actually going to go a little bit different. I don't think it's going to be called Tales of the Jedi, and I think that's fine. I think it should be called Tales of the Sith.
Nice.
And it should follow Palpatine. Like, we should see Palpatine murder Darth Plagueis. We should see where Plagueis got this weird batshit idea about the One. Or we go all the way back to, like, was it Darth Bane? The person, the Sith that came up with the idea of the Rule of Two. Like, I think that stuff would be more interesting because while it's cool to see how, we follow two Jedi who, by the end of their arcs or the peak of their arcs, they're no longer Jedi, right? One goes full Sith, one leaves the Jedi Order and is kind of this, I'm a Force user person with lightsabers. I think it would be interesting to see other Force users, specifically like the Sith, and what they're all about,
That
and
would
what they're
be cool.
doing.
We've never seen like a Jedi peacefully just like retire, huh? It's either like they die or they like leave because the Order no longer exists, or
Well, June, there's a
they're
good
forced
reason for
into
that.
exile.
Because
It's called
those Jedi
Star
are-
Wars.
Those Jedi are boring, and there's no story to tell.
I want
They
a
just
boring
retire?
Jedi. That's my next pitch. I want like the most average boring Jedi. He like clocks in, just kind of coasts by, isn't very good at anything. Be great.
Ooh,
That's what
that
I
would
want.
be fun, like a comedy. Like,
Yeah.
what
That would be
color is
sweet,
that
actually.
lightsaber?
It's going to be like like an Office Space. It's that the
Beige?
beige, a beige lightsaber.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, it should be like yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like gray.
Yeah, it's just like a nondescript color.
yeah.
Is
Oh,
that
man.
on?
Like a Dwight Schrute. In
Yeah,
the
like
Jedi.
a Dwight Schrute like suit.
It's
like mustard
beet colored.
Yeah, like a mustard.
I'm
or-
assistant to the assistant to Yoda or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
I've got Krishna. Yeah, Krishna. I think you should pull it off. Your next Halloween costume is like Dwight Schrute's colors as Jedi robes.
It's a Jedi. Yeah, it's a Jedi mask.
Yeah, and then you have the big goofy glasses as well.
Oh my god.
The mustard yellow.
Yeah, like as
He
a
should
inner
be.
robe or
We
whatever.
should make him a Gungan.
Yeah, Gungan would make sense.
No, I'm kidding. That won't work.
All right, it's that time, at least for Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. Krishna, was Star Wars Tales of the Jedi good?
Yeah, it was fantastic. The animation was incredible. The scene when Dooku was walking through the archives to delete Kamino, that whole thing was like very. It was like more Tron almost. It was like a very different style of sci-fi. It looked beautiful. So big fan. I love the shorts, and I hope they do more. Arjuna, was Tales of the Jedi good?
It was good. I enjoyed it. Short form content is great. Do more.
Do
Most
better.
precise and closed yes you've ever said. Very good job.
I think you said more words than I did for my yes.
Probably did just then.
Rafi. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
And was Tales of the Jedi, the ones about Dooku and Ahsoka, good?
They were great. Again, my only thing is I would have changed the order, but to your point, I think the fact that it was, we're seeing it, chronologically also works. So, but yeah, overall, good stuff. I want to see more, but again, Tales of the Sith, because they're the good guys. Think about it.
I would honestly
Think about it.
Any like a short form Tales of the Jedi in the Filoniverse and like Bad Batch going simultaneously for the next few years, I think is like a great mix.
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect way to kind of continue the animation style that we've come to admire and enjoy, and also there's more interesting stories to tell and kind of weave in.
There's a lot you could do stuff with Luke post 6. You could do stuff with Rey post 9.
Adult Grogu.
You could do adult Grogu and spoil the entirety of Mandalorian.
Why do I imagine that when Grogu becomes an adult, he's like Godzilla size?
Oh wait, real quick, we just to cap the conversation. So it was established canonically that Yaddle has a regular speech pattern, right? She does not talk like
speak,
Yoda.
Yeah.
So do we think Grogu? How do we think Grogu is going to talk, or if he will ever talk, or if he's just going to have?
We don't. So yeah, we got to figure out if it's just upbringing.
Is Yoda just a weirdo?
Yoda
what's going on with Yoda?
Yeah, is Yoda just like truly strange and weird?
No. Well, I guess the other question, because as you age, like how you talk as a teenager to a young adult to adult to older, your speech patterns do change.
For sure.
And I guess my question is.
That much, though?
How much is Yaddle the same age, older, younger than Yoda?
She seems younger.
She seems significantly younger than Yoda.
She has less wrinkles.
Then yeah,
and she has
her hair isn't gray.
I mean, then I guess
she has hair.
I guess then I wonder. Yeah, then is it maybe just because he's older? That's how he talks.
Could be, possibly.
Because we also know that Yoda does show up in the High Republic novels,
right?
Whenever they get around to turning those into animated or movies or whatever, I'm sure we'll see a Yoda. So it'll be interesting to see how does he sound then, because that will really help us understand. Like,
I feel like High Republic is being set up to be like Star Wars' kind of like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
In terms of like it's like very political and
Yeah.
it's like this political kind of palace intrigue, and like that's what Disney's gonna be like. This will be our Game of Thrones, the PG version. Without the sex and the dragons and the tits.
Jesus.
Sounds boring.
Yeah.
But Disney's like political intrigue, PG version.
Political.
So Phantom Menace.
Oh.
Who would be
So
a great
Trade
showrunner?
Federation.
Who would be a great showrunner? George Lucas.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
man.
Oh no.
George Lucas will return to Star Wars to do the High Republic show.
I actually want to see that.
That'd be great.
That would be.
Or it'd be terrible.
I don't think George Lucas will ever direct again. To be honest, I think.
I mean, he's rich. Why?
Yeah. Why?
But that's why it would
put
be
the stress-
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of
Sometimes you
questions.
need a creative
like,
outlet.
Why? I mean, yeah. But please don't do it with Star Wars.
Doesn't it feel like Star Wars is being set up for like George Lucas just to return to it?
No.
No.
Not at all.
I don't
feel
get
like
that
it.
at all.
I feel like it's being set up to keep him far, far,
yeah,
far away
exactly.
from
I
I'm
don't
getting
know.
the exact opposite.
Everything is a cycle, right? So like they've gone through this full cycle, and the last bit of the cycle is we start back at the beginning and we bring back George Lucas.
I mean, it's been
We did all this time without
Yeah.
him, and like sure it was a lot of monetary success and some creative success, but it's like let's bring George back.
It's been what, 10 years, right? Since Disney bought Star
I
Wars?
think less than that.
Disney
I
Star
don't know.
Wars purchase.
Maybe it was 10 years.
Year. Yeah, 2012. October 30th. Yeah. October 30th, 2012.
Happy 10 years
10
of
years.
10
Day
years of
Day
Star
almost.
Wars.
in
That's
Disney.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And we've gotten the most and we've obviously gotten the most content in, this 10-year period.
Yeah.
Like so much Star Wars content. As just a
So
10-year,
much.
like good, bad, yet to be decided.
It's given us a lot of good.
Yeah.
Mando, Andor,
I mean,
Bad Batch.
The majority of our podcasts are
Visions.
Star Wars based, so
and
There's been some
Marvel
highs,
based.
there's been some lows.
Yeah, exactly. There's been some of the best of Star Wars and some of the very worst of Star Wars in this 10-year gap.
The
Like
tale of
the
two
very
cities.
worst.
A tale of two eras.
Speaking of things
A
that
forced dyad.
speaking of things that have gotten so much more content in the last,
Oh god.
decade,
Oh,
let's
no.
talk Star Trek now. Star Trek Lower Decks season 3 just wrapped. The animated kind of like Rick and Morty show.
Kind of Rick and Morty show.
Kind of Rick and Morty show
A
without
PG version of Rick and Morty, if there ever was one.
That's very true.
I mean, it's not super PG. I guess PG-13. Like Rick and Morty is like a hard R in a lot of ways, and
Right.
this is like PG-13
PG-13, yeah. What did you guys think
of the third season.
of the third season overall?
I thought it was.
I was actually gonna have Christian go
Oh, okay.
because he's
Sorry, go ahead.
he's not a Trekkie. Let's also let's put that out there first, real quick. Arjuna and I have watched way more Star Trek than Christian ever will in his life, mainly because we've watched parts of Next Generation, all of Voyager, all of Deep Space Nine, all of Star Trek Enterprise, and then I'm a nutso, and I watched all of Discovery, all of Picard.
Ooh.
Like I
I'm
really
way behind on the new
Star
era.
Trek Strange New World. So I've watched everything new and most of everything old. The only thing I've not personally really watched is the
The
original
series.
because it's just so.
Oh,
we could
no.
just
Good.
ask. We could just ask Mom those questions and be like, "Can
Yeah.
you tell us what happened here?"
But then Mom will
Mom
have to
won't
go and look on
remember.
Wikipedia.
And she'd
so.
be like, "Oh, I believe that William Shatner."
"Yes, that's lovely, man."
Wow.
But yeah, Krishna has not watched that much Star Trek. But Krishna, you tell us. I mean, as a non-Trekkie, your thoughts on this third season?
Well, so I enjoyed the first 2 seasons a lot. And for this third season, much like I've been doing with previous recent things, I binged it. And I will say the novelty that I found pretty fun in the first 2 seasons has fully worn off, at least for the first half of this season. The first 5 episodes, I was frankly bored.
Whoa!
I didn't laugh.
Oh, dear.
I was just like, ooh, the story wasn't interesting or engaging. It turned, though, halfway through. The Rutherford episode, where he's fighting against himself, that's when it turned and the season picked up a lot for me. It got funnier and the stories got better. So I'm actually very on the fence. I don't know yet if I can say it's good or bad.
Sounds like
It's
we have a
literally
challenge here.
50%. The first half was, I thought, really boring. Second half was much better.
That's interesting you say it because I was a lot of people I think feel the same way. Where even though Star Trek Lower Decks has kind of been, it's very kind of episodic for the most part, but there is usually a general kind of through line. It definitely, until you got to the Rutherford episode halfway through, it definitely felt like, where are we going with
I
this
think
season?
that's true for the first 2 seasons as well, though.
Well, the first season, the first half is definitely built upon, is definitely who are these characters and then something. The second season, I actually rewatched all at once, and from the get-go, there is kind of the whole general, I forget the race, the weirdos that are like, that's Janeway, and I forget that's the main like story for that whole thing. Obviously, this season does start where the crew is trying to save the captain from court martial because at the end of season 2, she's convicted of blowing up the planet or whatever. The Packlids, thank you. She's and they wrapped that up in the first episode, which I thought was kind of like, I thought that was going to be a bigger, longer thing of trying to save the captain, but they wrapped it up in the first episode.
I'm kind of glad with that, though. So I'm kind of glad that didn't drag.
Yeah.
Honestly, I actually really liked the season. I think the season was, it's a familiar, for me, it felt like a familiar return to like what the first 2 seasons were, where you have, Star Trek has always been built on like, here's the adventure of the week, right? And Lower Decks really exemplifies that. And so like some of those are really fun. Some of them don't hit as well, but that's still like at least fun bits for me. And I think with like animation, you can go a little faster. You can be a little zanier, obviously. And I think that's what Lower Decks does really, really well. Just kind of leaning into that. And I thought like the 4 main characters each had just like good season arcs as a whole, or like interesting arcs for me at least. I thought like making Boimler finally like bold Boimler, which was like something that was throughout the whole season, where you had the early episode where he's like, he's been like a coward this whole time, but he's like a little more bold and like And having that character change was a nice welcome because I think if they did another season of him just being like a coward and a scaredy cat, it would have gotten dry. So that was a nice change to see. Mariner was like pretty Mariner-esque. It felt like more of her arc this year was just becoming more integrated with the crew and the people around her and opening up, and that leads to like her undoing in the finale, in episode 9 where she kind of gets thrown off the ship and was the only person that said nice things about anyone. And then with I think the Rutherford
was
one
the best
was
one.
kind of the standout. It's very much now we know more of his like pre-implant self, and there's this whole sinister plot with the drones, with the Texas class, the Texas class drones, which is also the only thing I will criticize with that arc was it felt like the Badgie program was kind of like thrown in terms of like that was what the drone thing was based off of. I wish there was a little bit more emphasized there. And then I think with Tendi, I think her like getting the opportunity to be like a science officer on the deck was really cool, and something that seems like a longer arc, right? That's going to go into the next season, especially with like a Vulcan character coming aboard and whatnot. So yeah, I really liked the season as a whole. It was just like felt very Lower Decks-y. I also binged most of it just because the show premiered obviously during a heavy run of like House of the Dragon, Rings of Power, She-Hulk, Andor starting up. So there was just a lot of other things during the week you're kind of paying attention to. So I think I watched like the first 2 episodes week to week, and then I binged it. And this is the first season of Lower Decks I ever binged, and I really liked binging it. I really liked watching it all back and forth because like week to week the show you're like, this is fun. It's a nice little palate cleanser. But it's just nice to you can kind of see the arcs a little bit better.
You binge it. Yeah, I watched it week to week.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoyed it because there were definitely standout episodes. Like, my favorite has to be the Deep Space Nine.
It's so good.
Because just because they play the theme music, they make fun of the fact that like the theme music just has ships randomly just circulating the pillars or whatever.
I laughed out loud.
Like, sir, what should we do? Just circle it again.
Circle.
Look at this majestic thing. That was by far, I think, the fun stuff. It was also
funny.
really nice to like, you had the original actress who played Kira return to voice the Kira character. You had Quark, the original Quark actor, also returning to like play the Quark again.
Was there any characters you were disappointed you didn't see on Deep Space Nine?
It would have been fun to see Jake. So the Cisco's. Yes, you refer to him as the Cisco.
The Cisco.
His son, I think that would have been nice. Also, Cisco's new wife, who's unfortunately, I can't remember the character's name, but the actress also plays a medical officer in Orville. So I was kind of hoping that she would like show up in this show, and there would be some kind of like little quirky joke of like, oh, you've crossed space sci-fis.
Right.
So that would have been cool, but like what they did with everyone, I think was really cool, and the fact that like with Kira and the security officer from the Cerritos knowing each other, Shax, I thought that was kind of funny as well.
One of my speaking of Shax, one of my favorite lines through the season is when Shax is in the holodeck with the medical officer, and he's like, "Why don't we just talk about our lives?" He's like, "I died, and you didn't even ask how that was."
I do like that. That's that joke too. With like, he died and he's back now. You just don't talk about it.
Very
very
that was
Star
great
Trek-y.
at the beginning of season 2. Yeah.
The other
He's
thing
like Kenny from South Park.
Yeah. The other thing I think that was interesting, Boimler has a clone, right? And it's their episode 8, I think, is where he discovers that his clone had a teleporter accident, but actually is working for
Section 33.
31.
31,
yeah.
the dark section. So I'm curious to see where that's going to lead to, because Section 31 is always this weird. And they even make fun of this, like, why do we have to wear the dark?
Like, well, if we're trying to be incognito, why are we wearing
Starfleet
badge?
Just wear it, we'll kill you. Okay.
Because it looks cool.
It looks super
and
cool.
a prop guy spray painted the silver ones. Yeah, I like that's what I like about Lower Decks. It really feeds into the vein of Star Trek of like seeding things for future seasons, with different stories and whatnot. So
here's my big question, because again, I'm weird and I've watched all the new Star Trek things, and in Discovery, in Picard, in Strange New Worlds, and now in Lower Decks, all 4 of the new shows talk about AI and it going bad in some form, whether that be Data offspring droids.
Yeah.
Whether that be this thing in control in the future, and now with the Texas class ships going rogue, is Paramount / Star Trek trying to tell us something?
Well, there was. I think Star Trek has always built itself upon reflecting on current
Society.
events and issues
Yeah.
in society, right? And that must be a big thing that's within these writer rooms in terms of, it is a big thing that's going on in terms of technology and AI. And, we had what's her name? Peanut Hamper return,
Right.
for the first time since season 1, right? We had her whole episode, which is hilarious. But she also met the robot from season 2 at the very end. So it was like more robot shenanigans. And then Badgie, who was the AI, there's an after credit scene in the finale, and it shows that Badgie's still alive out there. Like the program.
Somebody picked him up.
Yeah, somebody picked
But
him
it was
up.
green. It was a green beam,
So
which I'm thinking is Borg,
yeah,
which would be great. We get the Borg.
right.
Or
like,
Romulan.
Or Romulan.
So it's just
Could be Romulan.
just a lot of robots just
Yeah.
kind of running around and everything. So
We are the robots.
I think it makes sense that a lot of early Star Trek did a lot of the stuff between species to species, right? The Klingons, the Romulans, the Vulcans, all the, not necessarily wars with all those characters, but just the kind of tensions and stuff. So maybe in this new era of Star Trek, they're just like, okay, we've done a lot of that type of stuff. Now we do robots. And now it's robots.
Next
Also, AI is
Generation
hot.
though, did a lot with robots with the Borg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is cyclical.
It is true. It comes back. And tech is a big thing right now in terms of it going crazy.
Especially AI. I mean, I think that's in everything. Westworld.
Yeah.
Westworld.
It is
House of the Dragon.
AI is like very much on the social consciousness right now, and some people seem to think that we're closer to it than we are further away. So it would make sense that it's going to be in our sci-fi.
Technically, we have AI.
We
It's
have
not
like a rudimentary kind of form of it, right?
It's not sapient or sentient AI.
But then can you really call it AI if it's not sapient? That's the whole like.
I call
Yes.
it AD, artificial
It's weird.
dumbness.
Because what is
Dumbass.
intelligence?
It's true. I mean, being able to evolve, I guess, like you're thinking.
No.
learn.
I
I
like
don't know.
No, the best
I
line
don't.
I've ever heard of what is consciousness, or what is what do you judge a species by in terms of their greatness or their downfall? And there's an episode of The Office where Dwight and Michael have to go to the dump, right, to find the leads or something. And Dwight gets out of his car and looks at the dump site. He's like, "Look at this magnificent trash. Only a great species like us could do something so horrible." And it's oh, well, I guess
Dwight
that's
really
one way
would be
to
a great
quantify.
Jedi. He'd be a great Jedi.
Dwight, yeah. I think if anything, this
Someone's
pod
gonna write
has
that.
this pod has solidified that somebody needs to be Dwight Jedi crossover at some point, because
Yeah.
Master Dwight.
Master Dwight, yes, this council does not
No.
see you.
He never attains the rank of master. He's a Padawan his whole career.
Or knight.
No,
He'd be a knight. He'd be a knight.
No, he's a knight, and there's his master, right, is a Michael or whatever, and his master's well, we can't get you to master level, but you can be an assistant to the master.
Oh, man.
I'm
I like the
assistant
idea of
master. I
a
believe you're assistant
70-year-old
to the master.
Padawan. I think that's it seems like right up his alley.
That's
when he's
Steve
doing
Carell.
karate in the
Oh, yeah.
office and he's with all the kids, right? Never mind.
Wait, speaking of AI,
amazing.
can somebody pump in Dwight Schrute as a Jedi into one of those AI art generators, and let's get this created?
Oh boy.
Michael's on it.
Michael's on it.
Michael.
Michael.
So
Michael.
overall the season, I will say another really funny part. I knew that the type of ship that Lower Decks takes place on is a California class. The Cerritos, which is an area in California. But that part at the very end where they're facing off against the Texas class, and then all the other California classes come in, and you hear things like the Santa Monica, the Burbank.
Oh, that was
Sepulveda.
hilarious. The Inglewood.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Culver.
all
Yeah,
of those
so
ships showing up. I thought that
was funny.
really, really fun. I didn't hear my town, so
Los Angeles. They split it up.
well, no, I didn't hear Alita.
Oh well,
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Or
I would've-
Pacoima.
I would have bought that, but they didn't have it. So
Isn't there a lot of Texas and California feudery?
I mean,
in general, like in the
I think
United
so.
States,
The two biggest
Politics,
states, right?
yeah.
So
like a lot of Texans moving to California, a lot of
Vice.
Californians
there's the whole
going
Austin
to
thing,
Texas.
right? Austin,
yeah.
Texas has become like the new LA.
It would have been funny if
in a lot of
Austin was
ways.
a California class.
that I mean, so let's go back and like listen, and maybe they threw it in there because like he was just going through like
It was very quick.
very quick. So, but looking ahead, obviously, I do not. I mean, at the time of this taping of this pod, I don't know if season 4 has already been announced.
They did renew it for season.
Okay,
4.
so there's definitely season 4. So what do we think? Bold predictions. What's gonna happen? Everyone go.
I'll go
first.
just because I know nothing about Star Trek. So I'm going to say Rutherford gets trapped in time for half the season. So he won't be with the crew. He'll be sent to the far future. And he's going to enter, I don't know, is the Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise is the future, right, of this current timeline?
The series, you mean? Or
Yeah, the series, Enterprise.
No, Enterprise
No,
is the most past.
yeah, it's the furthest in the past.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then he goes back in time, and he's going to spend 5 episodes
With Archer?
hanging out with the Enterprise crew.
That would be kind of cool, actually.
Wait, that's Archer, right?
Yeah, it's
Captain
with Archer.
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
the, fir-
yeah.
they're
He's
the
gonna hang out with
first
them.
like starship.
And he's going to give them technology.
Well, they're the
that
first warp
they don't have
5
access to.
starship.
Right. Or warp 4.
There you
whatever
go.
it
That's
is.
my bold prediction.
It's a good one, actually. That would be fun.
That would be.
I mean, regardless, any more like we got obviously the Deep Space Nine stuff. Any more of that stuff, I would definitely would be great.
I think we should say on something. I think time travel will be a
Yeah,
it's
'cause
like
we've
the
not
next thing
seen
they have
it.
like to really explore. Like they
Yeah.
haven't done time travel yet, so that would be fun.
Wait, they haven't?
Not for Lower Decks yet.
No.
Oh, interesting.
They've done a bunch before. Have they done?
Yeah,
Have they done the other universe, the mirror universe yet?
I thought
don't
that was
Lower
what the
Decks?
Rutherford episode was going to be.
Oh, it's gonna be mirror universe.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't think they have.
I don't think they've done mirror universe.
They've
They've
done it.
referenced it.
They've referenced it. Like,
Yeah.
remember there's in season 2, they have the inspector like check the ship, and they have all of the simulations running.
Yeah,
There
they
is
do
like
a simulation.
Yeah,
right?
Mariner does a dark universe like
Yeah.
simulation, but I don't think anything legitimate with a dark universe has popped in.
the mirror universe.
Mirror universe, yeah.
Yeah, they've obviously done it in Discovery a bunch.
Way too much. I'm actually confused now that I sit here and try and remember and think what's happened.
And I believe they have confirmed Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds or one of the live action shows are going to do a crossover at some point. Because there's going to be a live action Boimler and a live action Mariner in one of these shows.
It would have to be then either Picard. Well, Picard is like 20 years in. All of the shows that are current are either in the past or the future. Nothing is concurrent right now with
Picard would work because they
Picard.
reference him as contemporary in this season.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Picard would probably be the closest because there's maybe a 10-year, 15-year gap, I think. But beyond.
No, it's going to be Strange New Worlds. This is an article from August 26th. So for season 2 of Strange New Worlds, Lower Deck stars Tawny Newsom, who plays Mariner, and Jack Quaid, who plays Boimler, will boldly be going where no character has gone before, from animation to live action. Speaking with a Hollywood Reporter, Quaid confirmed that he and Newsom will be in costume as ensigns Beckett Mariner and Brad Boimler, respectively.
So it's a time travel episode then.
He said, we already shot it, and it's as live-action versions of our animated characters. Can't get into plot details or anything. But he said, but yes, I'm going to have purple hair. We had uniforms made.
Yes.
So,
That's so
yeah,
cool.
it'll be
That was literally
interesting.
my question.
Yeah,
I'm
is
like,
he
are
gonna
they
have
give
purple
Jack
hair?
purple hair?
Yeah. They're going to do the whole thing.
That's awesome. So yeah, that has to be time travel because obviously
Yeah.
Strange New Worlds is Kirk's time.
Right.
So yeah, so they're going back 100 something years,
Must be. Or if it's like a simulation.
or is it
They're
simulation?
going to do the
episode?
Enterprise. They're going to do the Enterprise finale thing where it's all simulation for Riker.
Oh, that would be amazing.
No, would it be?
I mean, in this context, I think
Yeah,
it would be pretty
it'd be
cool.
fine.
Yeah, the Riker episode, like how they ended Enterprise. My God,
If that finale had come out now, people would have rioted. Like
if
on
Enterprise came out in today's world with social media, it would have been very different after season 1.
yeah.
There would have been a lot of like not rewrites, but like a lot of focus on what are people saying about the show,
Right.
and then adjusting.
What's your bold prediction for season 4?
Well, now that I know there's gonna be some kind of time travel thing,
But that's in Strange New Worlds.
Strange
season
New
2.
Worlds, right? But for Lower Decks, I think I think we're gonna get a bigger. I think season 4 is gonna have a bigger emphasis on Section 31. I think we're gonna get even darker, quote unquote, with Star Trek, where we're gonna see more of like we saw a little bit in terms of the whole arc with the Texas class and the admiral being like, oh, I'm he makes the joke of there are so many freaking admirals in Starfleet, and he's like, I have to be one that like has a name for myself, so I'm going to be the typical like bad admiral.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to see like more of the shady stuff with like Section 31 and what they're all about, which will be kind of cool. And again, I think it's going to tie into some Borg stuff with Badgie. Do you have any bold predictions?
I do.
No.
One of the most interesting things that kind of slipped my mind, or I thought that they kind of like casually referenced, was Rutherford's age in this season. So like Rutherford said like it was about 10 years ago when he got like his implant and that whole thing happened. Or like he did that stuff like a decade ago, essentially. So he's a little bit older than I thought. So that got me thinking, like, how old are these characters in general? And maybe they're not all, like, around the same age. So my bold prediction is one of our lower deckers will be promoted and leave the Cerritos.
Ooh.
Wow.
And
So then does that mean the Vulcan character that comes on at the end kind of replaces whoever leaves?
maybe. At least for, like, an episode or an arc or something into season 5. But I think that's how I think they're going to start expanding.
So who?
I'm going to guess Rutherford.
Hmm.
Tendi seems like the most obvious choice because she's doing like the officer training. Boimler already had like the fake promotion, I think, between seasons 1 and 2, and then got it removed. But yeah, and they've obviously done Mariner like leaving the ship a couple times now, so it feels like Rutherford, especially because he is very smart and like valuable.
Yeah. Yeah, so why is he on a California class? Like,
Yeah,
he should be doing something bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's more to like even though that admiral's dead. But by the way, when he got like zapped, I was like, holy shit, this is dark.
Pretty violent. Pretty violent way to go.
This guy's dead.
Whoops.
But I think there's more to that. I think there's more to like him getting his implant and like his earlier Starfleet career.
Nice. Well then, let's see if we were able to convince Krishna.
Ooh.
Krishna, was Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3 good?
After our most engaging discussion, I'm going to say yes. Yes, it was good.
Wow.
Because there are more. I remember more than I forgot. So I don't remember anything, really. Very few things from the first 5 episodes. But the last 5 episodes were very memorable in my brain. So, and they were funny. And like, even while you guys were talking, I was like chuckling as you brought up like different scenes and stuff. So I think the good outweighs the bad for me. And if I was to rewatch this season, I would just start at episode 5, to be honest. And those last 5, they hit hard enough where it was good.
You really liked the peanut hamper episode, didn't you?
Yeah, that was a good one. I actually forgot about that until you mentioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, that was actually hilarious. So yeah,
You like bird people and
Robots.
getting it on.
yeah, that felt like the most Rick and Morty. Like
Oh,
that
for sure, because the
episode.
bird people, if you've watched Rick and Morty, there's a character who's named Bird Person.
Isn't that his best friend?
Yeah, and so it was like, it just kept reminding me of that character in that whole arc in Rick and Morty, so it was fun.
Nice. Arjuna, was season 3 of Lower Decks Star Trek good?
No, because I don't know what that show is, but Star Trek season 3 of Lower Decks, that was good.
It's Lower Deck.
Yeah, season 3 was good. I really liked it. I love the show. It's just consistently really good, and it's the best Star Trek on
Ooh, hot take.
right now. I mean, I haven't seen all of. I haven't seen.
I was gonna say you can't say that.
I've seen 1 episode of Picard. I've seen 2 seasons of Discovery.
So I tell you,
Hold
I mean,
on.
he's right. Of all the Star Trek that he's seen, it's clearly
It's
the best.
clearly the best.
He just hasn't seen very much.
It's better than the first 2 seasons of Discovery, and it's better than first episode of Picard.
Oh boy.
That's fair. That's fair.
My God, Picard, what happened?
Jinn. Ravi. Was Star Trek Lower Decks, season 3. Good.
Yes, it was good.
Wow.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Nice.
No, it was definitely good. I wouldn't say it's the best Star Trek thing out right now. I still think the best thing is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, just because those are even more memorable episodes. And again, Christian, I think you should take the plunge. Take the fucking plunge and watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
good.
That's awesome. I love that season.
Yeah, I mean, what they're doing there is very true Star Trek, very true to, like, episodic. There's only
Yeah.
really one episode that I think you'll be like, are you high and on drugs? But that's good for a 10 episode season if there's only really one bad one.
That's 10%.
Yeah. You still got 90%. That's still
That's
passing.
significant.
Yeah,
It's
it's
an A
very good.
minus.
Yeah.
Solid.
Solid. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Was It Good? As always, we'll be back at some point with another pod. Actually, we're going to be back with the new Key and Peele Netflix movie pod. What is that movie called, Arjuna?
It's called Wendell and Wild.
It's an animated?
Yep.
An animated movie with Key and Peele. That pod will be dropping later this week. Till then, follow us on Twitter. We're still there for some reason. At Was It Good? Still on Instagram for some reason. And TikTok. Well, TikTok is a good platform. Instagram, meh. But we're on there as Was It Good Pod. And then definitely follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/wasitgood. You can see our full episodes and cut downs. Good day.
Let's cook some meth.